Hello, welcome to lesson 23, customary measurement. Choose the most reasonable unit of measure. Now, if you do know your stuff, you should know that there's inches, feet, yards, and miles, and we're actually going to throw in centimeter here to make this a little more interesting, which is the metric system, if you know, which is different from the imperial system, which the US uses. So first, the width of a book. What would you use it from here to measure this? Now, me personally, I would use an inch, but maybe using centimeters is reasonable as well because some books are very thick, right? If you were to imagine this is a book, right? Some books are very thick, while others are very thin, right? So in this case, I would use either inches or centimeters. The length of a car, you definitely want to use feet here. A car is like a couple feet in length, right? If you were to imagine, right, a car like this is about a couple feet right there. Jordan ran, again, feet. If you have someone running, right, let's say they're in a hurry this way, you definitely want to measure in feet, maybe even yards if they travel for a long time, but in this case, feet. The length of a license plate, you also want to use feet, or sorry, not feet, inches here in this case, right? A license plate is like roughly like somewhere around like 8 inches long. The width of my thumb, this maybe I would do centimeters. Maybe an inch is okay, but it's kind of borderline. Centimeter might be easier to work with in this case. Length of 15 football fields. This is where we want that yard, right? If you know, in football they use yards to measure, the different segments of the field. So yard would make sense here. The length of paper, inches. They're not talking about the thickness of paper. That would be millimeters, right? Maybe even less. But in this case, we want the length of the paper, inches. The length of a key on a keyboard. Probably centimeters, right? It's smaller than an inch for sure, so you want to work with centimeters. All right, moving on. Order measurement from least to greatest. In this case, you just want to take a look at the numbers, and we want to just make those comparisons, right? Already the 2's are definitely bigger than the 1, so this is last place. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4th place already. Now we can just look at the 2's. Here's a half. Here's 3/8 and 3/4. Now, if you think back to what we learned with fractions, here 3/4 is greater than 2/2, right? Because that's like saying 2/2 is like 2/4, and this is 3/4, so this is greater. So that's for sure. And what comes after 4th, meaning 3rd place, will definitely be 3/8, because 3/8 is most certainly smaller than 1/2, because half of 8 is 4, right? So 4/8 would have been half, but this is less. So this comes in second, and this will be first. Let's try a slightly more difficult one. This is a difficult one, 12. Let's just end it with this one, because here you get the same idea, right? Like first, second, third. That's very easy, right? I'll just do this one as well. First, oh, whoops, sorry. First, second, third, fourth, right? Very easy. But this one is a little bit more different because we have just smaller fractions. Here, 3/4, 2/8. So 2/8 is the same thing as 1/4. I'm just gonna rewrite it here. 1/2 is the same as 2/4, and 7/8, right? You can't really rewrite this. However, so we know these are definitely not even close to the top, but 3/4 versus 7/8, which is bigger? 7/8 will be bigger because it's broken up into smaller pieces, but they fill up more, so you have a less space to work with in that fraction. That's a good way to think about it. So in this case, 7/8 is first place, then it's 3/4, then it's 2/4, which is 1/2, and it'll be 1/4 last. All right, right, less than, greater than, or equal to. So here they just gave us a few metrics to start off. Here, 1 mile versus 1,760 yards. This one, you can do the math using this conversion here, but you would also have to know how many feet are in a mile. But this one you should just memorize. They're equal. 1 mile has 1,760 yards. Next, 144 inches versus 5 yards. This one, you can't just memorize that. 5 yards, that's going to be 3 feet in each of those yards, which gives you 15 feet. And now if you do 15 times 12, right, because there's 12 inches in a foot. 5 times 2, 10. 2 times 1, 2 times 3, or plus 1 is 3. 5 times 1, that 1 times 1. That gives you 180. So this is greater. Alright, moving on. Let's jump ahead. Let's use the relationship we just learned, right? Because we know 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. We know this is most certainly greater than a mile. Let's give, this is a bit much. Feel free to try it on your own, but let's just try this one. 16 yards, we know that there's 3 feet in each yard. So if you do this, let me do it this way. 6 times 3 is 18, 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, 48. This is greater. And to end this off, let's do this final question. 6 feet versus 72 inches. 12, there's 12 inches in each foot, so that's 12 times 6. Gives you 72, these are equal.